I am your official greeter this morning. That means I get to say, is your cell phone turned off? Did you find a parking place? If it gets crowded, move into the center so there's room for other people. And most of all, here we are. Now, I'm not the welcomer, I'm just the greeter, but I'm going to invite you to notice the fabulous people who are in this room. Some of them you don't even know, and this is your moment. Take a moment, stand up, say hi, welcome, greet, surprise, whatever. Everybody in the room, make sure everybody is greeted.
The angst we have been experiencing for the last 3 weeks must seem small compared to what our Nisenan friends and their ancestors experienced in the 19th century. In many ways, it makes their situation today even more poignant. These acorns remind us that we meet here on Nisenan land, that the history of the land and of its people continues to shape this community, that we continue to support the Nevada City Rancheria tribe in efforts to stabilize their people and to restore tribal sovereignty through federal recognition, and that our deepest well-being is bound to the tribe's well-being.
Chalice Lighting for Challenging Times by Lisa Doege. Why a flaming chalice, the question comes. It's the cup of life, we answer. A cup of blessings overflowing. A cup of water to quench our spirit's thirst. A cup of wine for celebration and dedication. The flame of truth, the fire of purification, oil for anointing, for healing. Out of chaos, fear, and horror, thus was the symbol crafted a generation ago. So may it be for us in these days of uncertainty, sorrow, and rage, and a light to warm our souls and guide us home.
We're going to help our young people dance up to. Would you like it to help? Yes. Trying to juggle things here. You're going to help the kids dance their way up to RE this morning with a little music. Let's do that.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Community of the Mountains. I'm Cheryl Morris, and Gail Johnson-Vaughan and I are your worship associates this morning. For those of you new to UUCM And especially if you've been here in the past few weeks, you're probably wondering, where is that wonderful minister? The answer is that Kevin, our wonderful minister, is having a well-deserved Sunday off, and when he is away, the worship team plans and presents the service. Today is what we call a tapestry service, and you will hear voices of members woven throughout, offering reflections on our November topic of repair. This is the third part of the grief model that Kevin has been using. The first part was to identify what's been lost, and the second to name what still remains. Today, we move to considering what's possible. You are invited to bring in items that have been repaired and perhaps wear mended clothing, and some of you have done just that. Thank you. After the service, feel free to come up and take a look at what's here and maybe exchange stories of what you brought or wore and why it's still valuable to you. In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, we place a high value on independent thinking, hearing a variety of perspectives, and learning from one another. So I want to briefly pose the question of whether everything broken needs to be repaired. I'm not talking about the planned obsolescence of everything from appliances to shoes to electronics that drives many of us crazy. I'm thinking of things that retain their value in spite of being broken, or perhaps because of it. What I brought today is a little ceramic cream pitcher with a broken handle. It was intact when I bought it. I was about 22 in grad school and had gone to a thrift store to buy something practical, like a saucepan. It has a companion sugar bowl, again with a quirky little charming face and a hat as a cover. I have no idea why it appealed to a single transient student on a tight budget, but it did, and it's been with me ever since. Fast forward about 25 years, and I had acquired a job, a husband, and a house full of things. The house turned out to be located just a few miles from the epicenter of the Northridge earthquake. If I close my eyes, I can still relive the sound of the house creaking and cracking, and everything being thrown around, falling objects, breaking glass. The sugar and creamer sailed across the room and landed miraculously on a couch. The only damage to them was the broken handle. So this little picture has meaning to me from two distinct points in my life, and I've never considered trying to repair it. This morning, whoever you are, however you got here, feeling broken or sort of patched up, or maybe even well repaired, we are so glad you're here. Welcome.
Those of you who've participated in the last several services know that on the Sunday after the election, we shattered a large ceramic bowl. Each of us placed the shards in the water that we had brought that day for our water communion, water that we made holy by our love and intention. We placed them in our beautiful, simple glass bowl. Those broken shards, they represented our grief, our broken hearts, and what we had lost. Last week, we focused on what was not lost, and what we still had in spite of those losses. While each of us spoke those things or wrote them on the chat on Zoom, Beth and I, one by one, took the shards out of the bowl. They were wet, we dried them, and we passed them among all of us. We got to take them home to symbolize what had not and could not be lost. The shardless bowl remained on its pedestal until one day later in the week, Siobhan came up and pushed through the curtain to get the mail and noticed that the bowl was empty and that there was a large pool of water puddled by the rain slot. The bowl had cracked under the weight of our collective grief. Today, our focus is on the concept of possibilities. It is important not to rush any of these, not to expect them to process in a linear sort of manner. They are likely to repeat and braid and mix for a long time, for a lifetime perhaps, as we travel our unique paths. When we're feeling broken, it is really hard to imagine that we will ever heal, much less experience something positive from this experience of brokenness. Our tapestry speakers today offer living testimony of beauty born of brokenness. Parker Palmer shares, "So it's no surprise that the teachings of Judaism frequently include reminders of the importance of a broken, open heart. As in the Hasidic tale, where the disciple asks the rabbi, 'Why does the Torah ask us to place these words on our heart? Why doesn't it say to place them in our heart?' The rabbi said, 'Because as we are, our hearts are closed. We cannot place holy words in our hearts, so we must place them on our hearts. And there they will stay until one day our heart is broken and the words fall in.'"
I'm like one of those Japanese bowls that were made long ago. I have some cracks in me. They have been filled with gold. That's what they used back then when they had a bowl to mend. It did not hide the cracks, it made them shine instead. So now every old scar shows from every time I broke, and anyone's of those Japanese bowls I was made long ago. I have some cracks, you see how they shine of gold.
This Place is Sanctuary by Kathleen McTeague. You who are brokenhearted, who woke today with the winds of despair whistling through your mind, come in. You who are brave but wounded, limping through life and hurting with every step, come in. You who are fearful, who live with shadows hovering over your shoulders, come in. This place is sanctuary, and it is for you. You who are filled with happiness, whose abundance overflows, come in. You who walk through your world with lightness and grace, who awoke this morning with strength and hope. You who have everything to give, come in. This place is your calling, a riverbank to channel the sweet waters of your life, the place where you are called by the world's need. Here we offer love. Here we receive in gratitude. Here we make a circle from the great gifts of breath, attention, and purpose. Come in. Representing all that we carry, or perhaps not all that we carry, but what is weighing most on our heart and in our mind, these stones, many of which were brought in by many of us, are here now to be picked up and placed into the bowl of water. The bowl, a symbol of the container formed by our caring community. The water within, elixir of life, universal solvent, the flow of Earth's blood, sweat, and tears. Whether or not you come forward to participate in this ritual, may you feel yourself held in tender love and support, even as you offer the same to others. Those on Zoom may participate in this ritual by placing your symbolic stone, a 0 or an O, into the bowl of the chat box. And you may also briefly type in that box your joys and sorrows in word form. Our silence while the music plays and people come up helps to hold the sacredness of the moment for all. I placed one final stone for all the rest that remains, perhaps too tender still to be brought forward at this time. The great songwriter Leonard Cohen's song, Anthem, contains the line, perhaps familiar to some of you, "Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in." And poet Shalon Harkin writes, "It's when the earth shakes and foundations crumble that our light is called to rise up. It's when everything falls away and shakes us to the core and awakens all of our hidden ghosts that we dig deeper to find once inaccessible strength. It is in times when division is fierce that we must reach for each other and hold each other much, much tighter. Do not fall away now. This is the time to rise. Your light is being summoned. Your integrity is being tested that it may stand more tall. When everything collapses, we must find within us that which is indomitable. Rise and find the strength in your heart. Rise and find the strength in each other. Burn through your devastation. Make it your fuel. Bring forth your light. Now is not the time to be afraid of the dark. In the name of all that we hold as holy, nameless as it may be, in this moment made sacred simply by our making it so, may we find ourselves comforted even as we comfort each other. May we remember that each of us has fissures, cracks, many of which are invisible, that have nevertheless marked us. All of us, in some way, are broken, repaired, and or in need of repair. May we be guided by grace to return again and again, to listen for, to hear the singing of the voice, still and small, deep inside all. Blessed be.
When we discovered to our dismay that our bowl was broken, we were heartsick. It's really thick. How did that happen? We had this bowl that we used for these healing ceremonies, and it's important to us. Well, Reverend Kevin and I talked about it, and we went, I guess we have to throw it away. And Siobhan said, wait, what's the theme this month? Wouldn't it be more appropriate to try and repair it? So we did. Have you noticed? Now it is not only once more usable, but much more beautiful. How fitting for a service that's titled Beauty Born of Brokenness. Cheryl said today that we're being gifted with a tapestry of short reflections on our theme of repair and how it intersects with the real life experience of some of our people to create beauty born of brokenness. Allison will begin.
Good morning. So I have a confession. I'm learning how to play. Do you want to play a game with me? Yay, it's a word game. Here's how it goes. I'll say some words, I'll give some clues, and then you tell me what they make you think of. We'll talk about it. Here we go. A water pipe, an engine, a window, a ceramic bowl, a relationship. What category do they make you think of? Steam. Interesting. Wow. A water pipe, an engine, a window, a ceramic bowl, a relationship. Say that again? Soup. Okay, these are great ideas. What they make me think of are things that can be broken or ruptured. So how about another set? A water pipe, an engine, a window, a ceramic bowl, a relationship. Now what do they make you think of? Things that can be repaired. Yeah, that's what they make me think of too. So, repair isn't just good for things, it's also good for relationships. While what I'll share today applies to any relationship, even the one with ourselves, I'll be focusing on the one that's brought me the most spiritual growth, being a mom. I want to say at the outset that to me, mother is a verb, and mothering can be done by anyone giving care. Before I began this motherhood journey, a friend confided that being a mom can feel like your heart is walking around in someone else's body. Another admitted that the ultimate goal is bittersweet. To help your child feel confident and prepared enough to leave you and live their own life. Both were right. As a survivor of childhood trauma, becoming a mom was a deeply intentional decision for me. Without a map, I pored over dozens of parenting books in preparation for my child's birth. You know the customized childcare manual that comes with every child? Yeah, I didn't get it either. If only. Void of such wisdom, I initially thought of my role as a parent that it was to make sure my child got everything I didn't get, though that wasn't actually possible or ideal, and to prevent what happened to me. Pretty tall order, huh? Well, so far we haven't figured out how to prevent the past. Realizing that, I figured I was supposed to help my child live a good life with as little pain as possible. Turns out that wasn't quite it either. Over time, I've discovered that my job wasn't to shield my child from pain or create a perfect life. Instead, my true role is to let her live her life while I serve as a secure base, a foundation of trust and safety to return to again and again as she explores her ever-widening world. Along the way, I've learned that I didn't need to be perfect. Good thing. A better endeavor, practice, repair. To repair in relationship, I can revisit a moment of disconnection, acknowledge my mistake, and take responsibility for its impact. Unlike a surface-level apology, repair offers deeper connection. Clinical psychologist Dr. Becky Kennedy explains, there is almost nothing in our interpersonal relationships that can have as much impact as repair. I'll say that again. There is almost nothing in our interpersonal relationships that can have as much impact as repair. As a recovering perfectionist with a now 18-year-old, I've finally accepted that mistakes are inevitable. The good news, they offer plenty of opportunity to practice getting good at repair. Recently, I've embraced a new parenting approach. I now see my emerging adult child as a life scientist, running experiments and learning from the results. My role is to avoid interfering, live my own life, and be available to offer comfort and guidance when needed. Trusting my daughter to learn what she needs for her life feels liberating to mine. A water pipe, an engine, a window, a ceramic bowl, a relationship, things that can be repaired.
Good morning. I am lucky to have 4 wonderful, bright, college-educated daughters. 2 of them actually ran cross country, but I had nothing to do with that. One of my daughters has been incarcerated for 6 years at the Central California Women's Facility in Chowchilla. She worked as an occupational therapist with special needs youngsters before going to prison. At CCWF, she was involved in the Peer Literacy Mentor Program. This program is for incarcerated individuals being mentored by their peers. These individuals are mentored to help them complete their GED, high school diploma, or help with college courses. Many of the inmates that she mentored were Spanish-speaking, deaf, or intellectually disabled due to substance abuse. She also participated in groups with victim impact, codependency, life scripting, and domestic violence. All of these groups were taught by other inmates with similar experiences as my daughters. This April, she applied and was accepted to a rehab program called Custody to Community Transitional Reentry Program located in Sacramento. She sent me this text that I want to read. It kind of talks about the program. At CCTRP, we are still incarcerated, but able to work and participate in community events as long as we remain safe and write-up free. I attend groups daily, having weekly one-on-one therapy, and I am now working. We have to take an employability class where we learn how to write a resume, a cover letter, and how to interview before we could actually look for a job. We are responsible for getting our own jobs and communicating with our employers about our program requirements. This is her thing. Personally, I am trying to share more instead of hiding how I feel, which is what I used to do. I hope to be paroled in April of 2026. So while she was there, she saw a job online and she sent her resume and cover letter. And the next day she reached out and happened via phone call, and it happened to be that the supervisor answered the call, and they chatted for a few minutes, and the supervisor said, well, let's set up a job interview. So they did a job interview, and it was via Zoom, went for about 40, 45 minutes, and at the end of the interview, the supervisor said, well, I'd like to send you a job offer. So the next day, she realized that I forgot to tell her, or I didn't get a chance to tell her about my living conditions. So she called her and shared with her. And the supervisor said, well, I thought you were gonna want more money. But what can we do to help you feel safe? So during her first year of incarceration, I would commute an hour for a visit through a glass window via telephone. And after a year of that, she was transferred to CCWF, which is in Chowchilla, which was a 3-hour drive. And I did that every 3 weeks. But it was pretty cool because we could actually touch each other. We could hug, we could talk to each other. And we were in a large, it looked like a basketball court filled with tables and noisy chairs. One of the walls had vending machines with very expensive food. Another wall had a door going out to a very nice patio. And the far wall had murals that I guess the inmates had painted, and my daughter and I would have our pictures taken there. And they were pretty goofy, but they were very fun. On the very first visit with her, this inmate friend of hers came up, and my daughter introduced her to me. And the inmate said, we love your daughter. Don't worry about her. We'll make sure she's safe. The moment I heard that, I felt like my straitjacket is gone. I'm just so free. And I realized that my heart was not in its place. It was on my wrist or somewhere. And that word safe, which is very small, only 4 letters, was huge for me. And it helped me to realize that now I can start to repair myself. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. When I was first asked to speak about repair, I have to admit, my initial thought went straight to the tangible. Fixing things like a broken vase or a squeaky door or a broken engine or something. For me, repair conjured up images of tools in hand, working to restore something back to its original state, or as close to its original state as you could get. But as I reflected more deeply, I realized repair isn't always about what we can fix on the outside. Sometimes the most significant repairs happen within, where the tools are patience, understanding, and compassion. This realization became very personal a few years ago. I have a very close family member with whom I've shared a bond that I thought was unshakable. 40 years of love and laughter and loyalty and trust. But then something shifted. We began to have small spats when we were on the phone or when we were visiting. Nothing major, but frequently we were having disagreements sharp enough to leave a cut on both of us. Then one day, out of the blue, she called me. From the tone of her voice, I knew that something was wrong. She went on to say, I'm taking steps to take care of myself. Right now, that means I need time and I need space. I need time and space away from you. I won't be contacting you for a while, and I ask that you don't contact me. Just even thinking about it now, it was devastating. It was absolutely devastating. What I heard her say was, I don't love you. You're a bad person. I don't ever want to see you again. My heart felt like it had just been broken into pieces. I was truly devastated. But somehow through the tears in my eyes, I managed to say, I understand. I'll respect your wishes, and I love you. Truthfully, I didn't understand at all. It really sent me to a place a very, very dark place. It was just so, to me, it was just so out of the blue. And how could you not know how much I love you? How could you, families don't do this, this is not how it's supposed to be. And I carried on like that for a while. In my mind, I became consumed with how to fix it. I thought I needed to fix it. What could I do? But no matter how much I wrestled, no matter what was coming to me, I just couldn't get a solution. Then one day, amidst my sorrow and my frustration and my anger, something shifted in me. A wave of emotion and clarity washed over me. For the first time, I felt her pain. I felt her struggle. I felt her hurt. I realized how much courage it had to have taken for her to say what she had said to me, knowing what it might do to me, because I knew that she loved me too. And in that moment, her pain became more important than my need for her to understand my point of view, or more important than fixing it. It was in that space of compassion and understanding that repair really began, not by forcing a solution, but by honoring the space and the grace we both needed to heal. Over time, I realized that repair wasn't just about the relationship, it was about me too. Initially, my focus had been outward, on what I thought was broken between us. But as I sat with the discomfort, I turned that focus inward, and the same compassion that I had shown her, I began to show myself. I had to. In order to look deeply inside myself, it had to be done with compassion, because there were some things that I didn't like what I saw. I began to reflect on how I could be the best version of myself, irregardless of what was happening with the relationship, but it was about me. I didn't just ask, what went wrong. I asked, what can I learn from this? I know that this pain is worth something. I've got to get something out of this. What is this? And so I began to work on myself. And miraculously, the more I worked on myself, the more the relationship healed. I didn't need to do anything. I just had to be, be compassionate and caring. Some of the tools that I use on this journey have come into this realization, and watching as that relationship began to heal slowly and surely. Compassion was one of the tools that I used, not just for her, but for me, as I processed my own feelings. A willingness to let go of the outcomes about what things are supposed to look like or how relationships are supposed to be. Trusted friends. I had friends that I was able to talk to and to get all of the angst out of me, friends who listened without judgment, but, told me when I was bullshitting. Patience was another tool, because healing takes time and repair doesn't happen overnight. And of course, love, which is the constant thread, even when the situation felt unbearable. These tools didn't just help me through this situation that I was in. I've begun to use these tools in all of my relationships. And as I look back on these last 3 weeks that have been filled for me with anger and fear and uncertainty, I'm very cognizant of the fact that there's not a whole lot that I can do. I can't hold on to what it should look like, but what I can do is look inside myself and be the best person that I can be and be there to support other people. And not acknowledging that whether it's a relationship or a dream or even my own heart, I just have to remember that repair is not always about restoring things to the way that they were. Sometimes it's about creating something stronger, something new, something filled with grace. And I have to say that I'm just so, so grateful to be able to say, just a few weeks ago, this family member, I was able to spend some days with her, and the relationship that we have now and are building with each other is so much more rich as a result of what we went through. And I'm just so grateful that she allowed me some space as well for me to process. And so here's to repairing.
Oh, thank you, Allison and Jean and Tracy. You've given us so much by sharing so much of yourselves. You've been very generous with your hearts. The weekly offering we take is another way in which we support our congregation and the work of this church, as well as a nonprofit partner that shares our values. 50% of your donations today will support Nevada County Citizens for Choice. Citizens for Choice has been a fearless advocate for reproductive freedom since 1989 and provides a range of services in a supportive and non-judgmental atmosphere. As the greeters pass the baskets, the slide will tell you additional ways you can give. Thank you for your generosity. We dedicate these gifts to the healers among us here and in our wider community. May we all extend a helping hand to others to repair what can be repaired and to accept that what cannot. Oh, many, many people to thank today. Of course, my associate Gail, and the readers, Charlene, Linda, Beth, of course, for her beautiful joys and sorrows. Our AV people in the back, Cypress the Ace, Paul, oh no, come on, Paul. Paul is very modest. Eileen, always our reliable chat host. Linda, for the lovely setting that she allowed us to add our repaired or non-repaired objects. Our greeters, Lori and Gwen. Our lay pastoral care person today is George. Refreshments, Cynthia, Elizabeth, Kids Connection, Shannon, Lindsay. I don't see a slide for our wonderful musicians, however. Is it up there? Oh, I skipped it. Okay. Heather Grove and also our very own. Thank you. I can read, but I can't think, obviously. All right, coming up, Thanksgiving potluck. Please RSVP so they'll know how many tables to set up and who's bringing what. Holiday Bazaar, final call for donations, and I think it runs for 3 weeks. Our holiday giving tree in the lobby. We're doing books this year for the CASA children, and we only have 2 weeks to do it, so pick up your tag and get your books. Booksellers giving a 20% discount if you show them the tag. Bring them back here. Bring them back here. UU 101 on December the 1st to learn more about Unitarian Universalism in our wonderful congregation. And of course, look at the website, always. Please rise as you're able and join in our closing song.
My life was on in endless
closing words today come from Peter Mayer's wonderful song, The Japanese Bowl. Sung so wonderfully today by Heather. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. We're not what we used to be, but in a collector's mind, all those jagged lines only make us more beautiful. And yes, we still have stress on us that may make cracks that let the light in, and that we will fill with gold. We are like those Japanese bowls. We were made long ago. We have some cracks you can see. See how they shine with gold. As we join in our community benediction, carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. In peace, those of you who are here today, enjoy the wonderful friends that you may not know yet, but do know because they're wonderful people and you're going to enjoy them. There's great food and back. Next week, come back, holy ground, holy grounding.